Hi, it's Chrissy from Been There, Lost That, here with another video for you about some thoughts I had and their relation to weight loss. So I was thinking a lot about my own journey recently because I've had a bit of a setback. I haven't lost anything this week at all, so I was kind of frustrated with myself, but then I thought about it and I realized why. I have not been putting forth the effort that it takes that I know my body needs for it to lose and be in a losing state. That looks different for everyone. Everyone's genetics are different. We talked about this in a previous video that 80% of the likelihood of our BMI is based upon our genetics. So for me, I need to be very careful with my caloric intake and also my portion control because of the way that my genetics are. There's a lot of overweight people in my family, so I have to be hyper vigilant with that stuff. I do not have a fast metabolism. So I kind of forgot about that. And the reason why is because I shared in another video that I was on a very restrictive diet. I was not eating dairy and I was not eating any processed carbs or any sugar at all. And that was really, really tough for me. So I snapped. I cracked and I stopped doing that. Now, what happens when we're on a restrictive diet? This, I think, really goes back to human nature. When I talk to people about, toxic relationships or any sort of thing that's not healthy for them, be it drugs and alcohol, in my work as a therapist, there's this rebellious streak that all of us have when it comes to someone telling us that something isn't healthy for us or telling us that there's just something we shouldn't be doing. As human beings, we don't like being told what to do. And I think, especially in America, we like our freedom and we like to be able to do what we choose and do what we can do in our control. So when people are told not to do that thing that brings them comfort, even though it's not healthy for someone, like drugs and alcohol, or if it's something that someone tells you to do to lose weight, to be healthier, like eliminating a food group or some sort of heavy restriction, it really makes us rebellious. And I know for me and a lot of other people, the more you tell them not to do something, or the more that you tell them they can't have something, the more that that's what they want. And they may not feel that way if you didn't restrict them as much. So I have found through my own weight loss journey that doing things like eliminating entire food groups or being on a very restrictive diet doesn't work for me. And I know it doesn't work for a lot of other people because of this human tendency to not like being restricted. Now, that's not to say that diets are a bad thing or that they don't work for some people. They do. But I believe and have found in my own experience that they really only work over the short term because of this mental tendency of human beings to not want to be told what to do. So what do you do with that? How do you continue to lose weight or get past that mental block? Now, for me, when I lost weight for the first time, when I lost my 130 pounds and kept it off for 10 years, I did that through portion control. I did not eliminate a whole food group. I didn't go on a specific diet. I didn't follow a set meal plan because I found that when I tried to do that, I was not successful. I would go out and buy all the special food, make all the special food. I didn't like it, or I didn't feel like I ate enough. I just didn't like someone else telling me what to eat and how much. So what I really did to lose that 130 pounds was more so portion control, eating the things that I liked in moderation, and planning my cheat meals. I never eliminated anything completely. If there was a day where I was seriously craving chocolate, I would eat something that was chocolatey. Now, I would maybe eat a square of chocolate or a small little hot chocolate, but I didn't deny myself because I knew myself well enough to know that if I did, it would create a binge mentality. I've never been a binger. I've never been one of those people who sat down and eaten an entire case of Oreos or a whole thing of Ben and Jerry's. I've literally never done that in my life. But I know that some people do that. But I still have that mentality when I'm feeling like I'm restricted. That's what happened, honestly, these past 2 weeks. I felt restricted, and then I got rebellious, and all of the hormone treatment that I was on, I'm sure, didn't help, and I just quit. I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. I can't do this anymore. And I ate things that I shouldn't eat, and I had things that I would normally not eat in larger quantities. So it's further proof, using myself as an example here, that restrictive diets don't work over the long term. I was able to sustain it about 3 weeks, and then that was it. So it's really difficult for most people. So you're not alone, and it's really in your human nature to have this difficulty with diets. So my recommendation for anybody is cut your portions. I also counted calories when I was losing the 130 pounds. And I know there's a lot of apps out there now that make that a lot easier, like MyFitnessPal and things like that. I don't get endorsed by MyFitnessPal at all. That'd be nice. But I don't. But things like that to track your food, that can get tedious too, though. Some people don't really like doing that. But it can be really easy head math if you really, read packages and stuff and you start to memorize things. Like I know there was a point where I could tell you how many calories there was in an apple and how many calories there was in an egg and all different things like that, because it became easy for me, and that can be a good approach for you. But on the most basic level, just portion control. Like, you can still eat at McDonald's, but not get, the supersized fry and the triple cheeseburger. Instead, maybe get a single cheeseburger and a small fry. Like, those baby steps are sustainable over the long term. That's how I was able to keep the weight off for so long, because I wasn't depriving myself. And people talk about things being more of a lifestyle change. That's what they mean by that. And I know that's what it meant for me. I could not sustain any sort of restricted diet, but I could sustain the portion control, because I was still free to choose what I wanted to eat, and I didn't need to plan every single meal out at the beginning of the week. It's just not my personality when it comes to food. I like a lot of variation in my food. So I don't like to meal prep because it's the same thing every day. I'm not a big meal prepper. I know that does work for some people. Kudos for you, but not for me. So I just wanted to validate everyone who is out there trying to be on one of those restrictive diets and struggling. By no means am I anti-diet. I just understand the psychology behind why they don't work over the long term. And I don't want you to be frustrated with yourself or judging yourself if you have a difficult time. And maybe using a restrictive diet as a good starter. Like, I'm going to do this diet for 2 weeks to really get my head in gear, and then, move to something more sustainable over the long term. It also, I find, when you do that, helps you appreciate the food. So if you do the restrictive diet for 2 weeks, then after that, you're like, oh, thank God. So even if you're just eating half the portions, but eating what you would normally eat, after having done that 2 weeks, it's easier to sustain the smaller portions now, because you're grateful to be eating what you actually want to eat. So, it's a head game. It's all a head game. So however you have to trick yourself into sticking to eating better or less, or however you need to eat to make yourself more healthy, you have to do that, because it's completely mental. And I am going to make a couple of videos on how I trick myself and play that game with myself to aid in portion control. So look forward to that in some upcoming videos, and hopefully you can learn some tips and tricks about that. Anyway, that's it from me today. If you like what you see, please like and share my channel. If you can, also hit the alarm bell at the top so you know when I'm posting new videos. I try to do that on Fridays or Wednesdays. So take care. Have a good day.